of the, well, I say right now is the start of the stream, but what I really mean is the intro in just a few moments time. Should not be too long now, because we've pretty much got everyone on the grid. 19 drivers, of course. Maybe we can try and stretch for that extra one to make it a full grid, which would be absolutely incredible, and always a welcome sight to have a hefty number of drivers on the grid. It is always a good sight, because then that means more action for us, and well, more action definitely is welcome when it comes to the Zach Sweeney streams. And of course in APPF1 we're never ever too far from some drama or some excitement. It looks like we're readying up relatively shortly. Finally the stream. Rick, well, listen, I don't want this to be that awkward stage of where I'm just talking for a bit, so I thought I'd start the stream as late as I possibly could to well, because right now we're now starting essentially. Yeah, Zuba, you're funny. You are really funny. You are really funny. We are getting ourselves ready very, very soon. And well, for round 2 it's going to be an absolute banger, I'm sure. With that being said, hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the second round of Tier 1 Season 3. We head to the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia, for the Spanish Grand Prix, a track where strategy goes one of two ways. And well, with the added addition of a safety car here and there, it could certainly be a pit lane battle that decides the race. With a stellar opening round at Imola, we hope to keep up that momentum through this season. And well, Ghost currently leads the championship, but it's too early, way too early, to tell at this moment in the season. As always, I am your commentator, Zach Sweeney, bringing you tonight's action. Short quali soon underway, followed by a 50% race. Buckle up, because round number 2 is here. And well, again, a massive thank you to the sponsors, High Dive Apparel, for sponsoring yet another season of Tier 1. It always is a pleasure to have everyone in. Race for the full grid. No, not at all. Unfortunately, that's not going to be happening. I'd get absolutely shown up. It would not be a good race whatsoever. Unfortunately, no thumbnail at the moment. Still, of course, Paus has been very busy. You'll notice he's the lone driver that we haven't got on the grid tonight. But yeah, he's been very busy, which is fair enough. But we've got the return of Vardy. The alien on 2020, has he found a resurgence of pace come this new season? He did struggle a little bit towards, well, at the start of last season. Towards the tail end of last season, wasn't too bad. However, yeah, he definitely has some work to do. We've got one driver now heading out onto the track. I believe it is Sumo that we're on board with. A very, very quick driver indeed that we've all come to know and love. He's followed by a Ferrari close behind. That's probably one of the Jackalaka or Rick. Well, it's got to be, because they're the only two in Ferrari. It is going to be the Dutchman of Rick, who I stand corrected from my Bahrain stream on Sunday. He's a year younger than me. He's not a year older than me. That's my bad. But however, on board with Sumo, he's on the soft compound tyre, those red wool softs that, well, around Spain, you're not really going to want to be starting the race on them. Of course, if you are new to Formula 1 and to sim racing in general, which is usually the case for most things, they usually follow this rule. The tyre that you qualify on, you set your fastest lap in qualifying on. Say if Sumo goes on, his fastest lap in qualifying is on this set of tyres. These are then the tyres that he will carry forward and start the race on, provided he is inside the top 10. Those outside, of course, get free choice on what tyres they start, and they can do whatever they like. However, those inside the top 10 will have to start the race on the tyres that they set their fastest lap on. So you don't really particularly want that to be the softs. Of course, you've already done a quali lap on them. You've done 16 corners of Spain, and the hot temperatures around this track, and just the sheer brute force that these tyres have to go through. There's a lot of long and twisty corners around this circuit which really wear out the tyres, and when you're pushing on a quali lap, you're wearing them out a good 5 to 6% per lap. And then you've got to take them into the race. It's going to be difficult for you to do a one-stop. You could probably only go 6 or 7 laps into a race on these softs. However, Sumo is going to give it a go on these softs in towards turn number 1 then, looking at just between the 50 and the 100 board, down to 4th gear. Use that inside curb and try and take turn 2 as best you can. Nearly flat. Turn 3 should be relatively easy. Flat could be a bit of a struggle in race fuel. in towards turn number 4, the infamous site where we saw Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton crash back in 2016. 21.9 to the first sector for Sumo as he unwinds the corner to the left-hand side of the track. Bring it back to the right, brake as soon as that timing tower on the left-hand side disappears your view, all in a straight line. Second gear, then get that good run down towards turn number 6 and 7. This uphill chicane, you've got to watch out for that undulation on the inside there, can really catch up. In towards turn 9, quick flick to the right, it should be nearly flat in quali spec, then DRS open down this back straight. In towards turn number 10, braking at the 100 board pretty much exactly. Down to second gear, this hairpin-like corner, you want to get a nice late apex up the hill through turn 11 and 12. This long right-hander, keep it as tight as you possibly can, or take a V-shaped line. Davila getting in the way a little bit though. Sumo's not going to be happy with that one at all. The Aston Martin maybe just getting a little bit caught out with traffic in front, or something had happened, but trying to set up his lap and didn't really want to concede to Sumo, who's pulling his way into the pit lane. So too is Davila. So I think it is going to be Rick that's going to be the first to set his lap time. He's got MX giving him a nice slipstream. In fact, he did invalidate his lap. It would have been an 18.3. We'll go on board with the reigning champion of MX then, someone who struggles in qualifying usually, though Spain seems to be a relatively good track for him. The split nationality of Canadian and German for MX. Through turn 3, very nicely done. What's he done to the first sector? Let's see it in comparison to Sumo. It's 4.10, nearly 5 slower than what Sumo did to the first sector. So not the best first run for MX, though we know he struggles in the first part of qualifying, uses it to acclimatise himself to the circuit. Koru on the medium tyre, an 18.4, goes just over a second quicker than that with a 17.4. Though on the softs, Koru said to me before the race that strategy is going to be a massive factor in this Grand Prix, and the one stop is definitely going to be the favoured one. So what Koru is trying to do, he's getting on those mediums and he's trying his best to set a relatively competitive lap. Emiliano, Tier and Speed all setting their times. Those Speeds probably not the most competitive. That's MX getting all sorts of squirrely through turns number 12 and 13 and just catching the car a little bit. That's going to cost him his lap time. Of course, this is Ace's his first run. The Mercedes driver not having the best run of form last weekend. I said last weekend, last Friday. If you count it as a weekend, then good for you. But however, he did struggle to find a bit of form last weekend, though it is Ace's is sort of, I guess you could say, speciality to have a rough start to the season, then come the second, third, fourth round, really have that second wind, that second burst of pace, and just shoot his way towards the front. He really finds a rhythm, really finds some pace as well in order to bring the cars to the table. Really, his race pace is absolutely stellar. He puts the car exactly where the car needs to be, is so consistent, never puts a foot wrong, and well, now he's trying to improve upon himself. He's going for no lines, complete elite assists for the Englishman in the Mercedes, so he's going to look to go even quicker than he already is, which is probably explains why he might struggle a little bit. But for Aces, an incredible driver. Unfortunately, has invalidated this lap and will not be taking any further part in it. This is the McLaren of Bluey. Of course, a decent driver when he wants to be. He's certainly got a lot of experience under his belt. His pace, though, definitely might not show as much as you can see there. Even on a slowdown lap, can struggle to hit an apex. We only joke. We love Bluey. We blame him for absolutely everything. He is a pleasure to have around and brings us some great action sometimes. Though a 1:46.295, not the quickest of times in the world. MX though goes just shy of provisional pole, or 17.567 for the Germanic Canadian, or the Kerman, or the Germadian, one of the two. Zuba into P3, a good effort from the AlphaTauri. 1 and 3 as it stands for the two AlphaTauri drivers, an 18.452. A little bit off the top two, who seem to just sort of be in the league of their own. Formula 0 or Formula 0.5 it seems. But that is to be expected. Ghost and MX, two incredibly quick drivers. Is there going to be anyone else that challenges him? This is Davila on the mediums. He's second guessed himself. He's going to join Koru and Womax as Koru goes quickest on that set of medium tyres. A 17.360, incredible pace from the Red Bull. Though 3 laps on those mediums, it's taken him a while to get to that pace. His tyres are going to be slightly more worn, and that's not going to help him in the race, though it probably won't cost him an extra stop, which in contrast to these softs, they're probably going to have to do 2 stops unless it gets affected by a safety car, and almost everyone's forced into a 2-stop. This is Davila for his first run on the medium tyre across the line. It's P4, good effort, a 17.887 for the Aston Martin as Bluey settles in just a couple of moments later in P5. an 18.139. Schraze, I believe he might be debuting tonight. I've never actually seen him before. He's in the Alpine. And he's going to be trying to show us his mettle and show what he can do against some of APPF1's best. Remember, this is Tier 1. These are the best drivers in the community, as you can definitely see by the likes of Ghost and MX and Davila, Vardy, Speed, Aces. But can Kinnan, of course, he took pole last time out at Imola. He's in the Mercedes. Of course, his race ended tragically in a retirement. Whilst looking good for a race win, 2 spins definitely not going, definitely didn't go his way. This is Moti Perez in the Haas, looking to improve his qualifying position, yet to set a time as we approach halfway through this short qualifying session. 9 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock. Ghost heading out for his second run. He's on the softs again. He's not trying to go for the medium, so 2 different strategies between the top 2, the Red Bull senior family and the Red Bull junior family, going for completely polar opposite strategies. This is Rick though, purple to the first sector, a 21.872 for the young Dutchman in the Ferrari. In towards turns 7 and 8, chucking it in 4th gear, get that curb on the inside, pretty much straight line as much as you can, try and keep it flat through turn 10, not quite going to be enough. It gets a bit of a snap though over the gravel, luckily didn't spin that car. I say turn 10, it was turn 9. Still purple to the middle sector though for Rick, so must have been that good of a middle sector for him to keep that momentum running despite the spin. Through this long right-hander of turn number 12 in towards 13. This quick flick to the right before you slam on the brakes. This very stop-and-go chicane is really awkward, really does not promote good overtaking at all, and it just sort of bunches all the cars up before they then quickly spread out. This is Rick though, his first lap in qualifying across the line is P number 4. 17.818, just a little bit quicker than Davila though on the medium tyres. The Aston Martin set his lap time on. Ghost now starting his lap, his second run in qualifying. 17.483 is what he's on. He needs around about 2 tenths in order to get himself on provisional pole, and already has invalidated his lap through turn 2. Took a little bit too much curb. The other Ferrari, Giacolacco, into P6. Just under a tenth off his teammate in P4. And Giacolacco on a 17.908. Emiliano P9 should be I think that's a career best qualifying position if it stays how it is. Emiliano has struggled to then getting better than that on the medium. Sheesh, yeah, Corey happy with that lap though. His tyres are going to be a little bit worse for wear, as I said a minute ago. Emiliano, as I say, he might have found a bit of pace. Goes for a bit of a spin through the uphill chicane of turn 7 and 8. Managed to get himself going though. And P10, I'm sure he's not going to be complaining too much about that one. Taylor Hammers into P8 will on his first run, as Emiliano decides to call it quits and retire from the session. Taylor Hammers in the Williams. P8 is the best he can do and the best he can conjure up for the moment. We're right on board with Sumo. We haven't seen much of him apart from his first lap before Davila got in the way of it. Number 97 for the Alfa Romeo. Through turn 7 and 8 uphill towards turn 9. Quick flick to the right. Throttle, just a bit of more of a safety lift to keep the front end in check. DRS open as he comes down this back straight. 51.151 to the middle sector. Not bad at all. Though, is it going to be something close to what he did previously in qualifying? Yellow flags to this final sector. Giacolacco managing to move out of the way, so it is possible, Dave. As he enters the final couple of corners through the penultimate one. Vardy, a 17.069 on those softs. He's definitely back in that Aston Martin. Sumo across the line. Can he get close to it? Across the line, it's only P5. Settles in just behind his teammate, a 17.666. Now remember, Vardy is on the soft compound of tyre. That red walled soft. Very grippy, very quick in qualifying though. Wears out very quick. In the race around Spain, only about 5 or 6 laps maximum, maybe 7 if at a push, maybe towards 8, maybe if you're on light fuel towards the end of the race. But yeah, definitely the start with that heavy fuel, not the best position to be in. MX is 17.452, gets himself ahead of Ghost. Fortunately did miss that. 6 minutes left in qualifying. Davila out to improve his P8 and try and do Aston Martin proud, because, well, the man stepping in for AP Powers, Vardy, definitely doing a great job indeed up there in P1. Provisionally Bluey on his lap as well. We'll ride on board with Speed Alcoholic though, the Red Bull, who's invalidated his lap time, so we won't ride on board with him though. This is Aces, a 51.313 to the middle sector, not bad. Can the Mercedes driver get himself anywhere near the top 5? It's going to be a hard time to breach. It's not for the faint-hearted. Through the penultimate corner, getting the power down as effectively as possible. Flat through turn 16 and over the line. Short burst for DRS. What's it going to be for Aces? It's only P10. Half a tenth off Jackalacco in P9. So a very close grid. You can see three drivers. Three drivers win a tenth. Then only a little bit back to Jackalacco. Half a tenth back to Aces. Then another half a tenth to Taylor Hammers. So yeah, well, it's definitely very close. Very fine margins. This is Kiernan on the mediums. The man that took pole last time out. I'm not having the best of days today. Welcome to the 7 people in the stream. Do not hesitate to come and say hello in chat. It's always a pleasure to have you in. And seeing what your predictions are for the race, who you're rooting for, etc, etc. I will definitely be checking the live chat throughout the stream. And, well, as trying to keep my eyes on the action as best as possible. But Kiernan is going to go for round number 2. He's going to try and set another lap on these medium tyres because he knows how crucial the strategy is. At the moment, the top 10 base time is a 17.959. Koru, the only medium runner inside the top 10. He's going to be the lone wolf in towards turn 1 for Kiernan. 4 minutes 20 left to go in qualifying through turn 2. Decides not to use the curb, not confident in the car. Bit braking into turn 3. Not something you often see though. Kiernan, a very quick driver, so we have to trust him on that one. So the first sector, 22.0, a little bit down to what he set his previous best on. Bit of a scram out of turn number 4 as well. Not the best lap for Kiernan then, not hooking it up, but all he needs to do is get himself inside the top 10. And he'll be on the better strategy, and probably I would hedge my bets at saying these medium runners are going to be some of the higher up positions, probably competing for the podium, as long as he can get himself into that top 10. And remember, everyone outside the top 10 will get the free choice of tyre, so they will go for that medium. It's going to be a very powerful alternate strategy, so watch out for it. So at the moment, I'd say Jackalacco, apart from Koru, Jackalacco's probably got the second best position on the grid at the moment, being P11, right on the cusp of the top 10, but right on the cusp of having that free tyre choice as well, though he's still looking to improve upon his time to try and secure that. Ghost goes quickest, a 16.888 for the AlphaTauri. Incredible lap on his second run in qualifying on those softs. At the moment it is provisional pole though. Can Kiernan, who gets himself P3, 1/1000th between the two medium runners. Incredible. And Koru, you can get much better than that. Well, not much better than that. 1/1000th to be precise, 1/100th of a blink of an eye between yourself and Koru. The second row completely locked out by the medium tyre. Incredible lap from the Mercedes then, despite it. I doubted it. It looked as if it was quite a messy lap, but sometimes the messy laps are the quick ones. That beat me by a millisecond. Well, every little helps, as they say at Tesco's. Of course, other supermarkets are available. Though other supermarkets' catchphrases might not be as applicable to racing. Can't really see myself saying "save money, live better" in a racing stream. But yeah, every little helps. Fine margins for sure in motor racing as a whole. In these dying stages of qualifying now, we're right on board with Vardy, who's looking to improve upon his time. Needs around about 2/10, about one. Yeah, well, don't trust the commentator's maths. Those are really, well, not really awkward numbers, but 181, I think he needs to beat that. Don't quote me, but I think it's going to be 181 for him to be that. Rick into P3. Good effort from the young Dutchman. 17.227. He's not got enough time to go for another lap unless he wants to start the race on really warm, soft tyres. I mean, he's going for it. Fair play to the young lad, who is certainly not very tall whatsoever. Kiernan, yeah, he's happy with his lap. P4 and 5, pretty secure inside the top 10, I'd say, for these lot. Rick does improve to the first sector, I think I saw. This is Vardy about to start his lap. We're right on board with the Aston Martin. Sonic cheering on Bluey. Ghost comfortable with his lap. He won't be joining and taking further part in qualifying, so it's a straight fight for pole between Vardy and Rick. And maybe even MX2, who's invalidated his lap already, so he won't be taking further part in qualifying. This is Sumo looking to improve upon P7. Only a couple of attempts will see him up a couple of places. They will ride on board with Vardy, probably the best man with a chance to steal pole from Ghost's clutches in towards turn 1. Very nicely done. Uses the curve through turn 2, keeps the throttle down, keeps it pinned flat through turn 3. Can he keep it? Yes, he can. Brilliantly done from the Aston Martin. Going to try and go to the left-hand side, open up turn 4 as best he can. A little bit down to the first sector. He's still got 2 more to go. Opens up the circuit, brings it back to the right-hand side, braking in a straight line, aim yourself at the apex, second gear, roll it through, bring it up the gears, short shift to get the traction, blitz his way through 6, completely flat out, then brake for 7, fourth gear, use the curb, then straight line the exit as best you can, quick flick to the right for turn 9, as you then get down this back DRS straight for Vardy. Has he improved to the middle sector? Is it enough? Davila goes P2, Sumo goes P3, less than half a tenth between second, third and fourth. It's very fine margins and not a lot on the table. Can Vardy get himself back onto the front row? Can he get himself back on provisional pole? The checker flag is out. Qualifying is over. Vardy through the final couple of corners, through the chicane for the final time. Is it going to be enough to topple his teammate? Is it going to be enough to topple Sumo? Is it going to be enough to topple Ghost? DRS across the line. Is it going to be pole for Vardy? Yes, it is. A 16.676 for the Aston Martin. A stellar lap and, well, taken pole by just over 0.2 of a second. It's a 1-3 for Aston Martin. They are not going to be complaining whatsoever. Ghost, the lone AlphaTauri inside the top 10. Zuba unfortunately unable to deliver a top 10, and it's P2. He's sandwiched between the 2 Aston Martins. Could that get spicy towards turn number 1? We'll have to wait and see. Sumo on a cool down lap, so too is Davila. So look out for Kiernan and Corey, and, well, I say that, everyone else outside the top 10. Speed as well managed to get himself inside the top 10. Pretty quiet drive from the Red Bull to be able to do that. 17.6, not far off the pace of the 2 RRL boys. I say the 2. There's also Taylor Hammers. But yeah, stellar effort from Vardy. Good stuff. I'll give him that. Incredible lap. Looked very hooked up, looked very clean, very precise. And managed to topple Ghost, though it's a long run. I believe it's the longest run between lights and turn 1 on the calendar. Of course, Sochi has the longest run between lights and braking zone, though Spain the longest run. I believe it's just over a kilometre from the lights, or just under a kilometre from lights to turn number 1. So it's a long run. Slipstream is going to play a big factor, and it's a very wide pit straight, which can invite a couple of cars, 3, maybe even 4 cars down the inside if you're not careful. So you're going to have to look out. Qualifying note drawn to a close, and what a qualifying session it was. Very close, very well, there's a lot, very fine margins. Just look at how close some of the positions are between each person, and we'll run through how they will line up in just a few moments time for the Spanish Grand Prix. 33 laps it will be, and leading them off lap number 1 will be Vardy, a 16.676. Does the Aston Martin. He's joined by Ghost on the front row. Davila, a good result for the second Aston Martin in P3 with Sumo. P4, the young Dutchman of Rick rounds off the top 5 with Kiernan and Corey both on the medium tyres, 6th and 7th. The reigning champion of MX in P8 with Speed also on the mediums, P9. Jack Alaco rounds off the top 10. Womack's first to the free choice of tyre in P11. Aces P12 with Tier P13. Zuba 14th with Taylor in P15th. Bluey, Emiliano, Moti Perez and Schwaze round off the grid in 16th, 17th, 18th and 19th. They're going to be looking to try and carve their way towards the front of the grid with those with that free choice of strategy. But they've got a long way to do it. Are they able to? That is a question that will be answered in 34 laps time if you include the formation lap. Well, they all try and get themselves warmed up, get themselves ready, because the adrenaline really is going to start to be pumping. It is clear skies for the race ahead, so no rain to spice up the proceedings today. If you are now only just joining us, we've gone through the grid order for the races. Vardy on pole, Ghost and Davila the top 3. Do make sure to get everyone you know, everyone who's interested in Formula 1, even those who aren't interested in Formula 1, to come and have a watch, because I'm sure the APPF1 can try and persuade them to come the way of such an incredible sport. Here's Ryan Blair, howdy. Cheering on Zuba. We've got the AlphaTauri fans coming in. Ghost doing them proud at the front though. Let's see. Koru and Kiernan, probably my two favourites to take the win on that alternate strategy, though we never ever know. To the formation lap then, and we go green. This is just a very crucial time for these drivers to get themselves warmed up, get themselves maybe that last little bit of acclimatisation to the circuit, find where the grip is. Maybe that's more applicable in the wet, but hey, in the dry, every little helps. As I said numerous times, in terms of tyre wear, or in terms of tyre compound, everyone outside the top 10 on the mediums. That's how powerful this alternate strategy is. So Kiernan, Koru and Speed all doing themselves a favour, getting themselves them couple of places up and ahead of the rest of the medium runners, getting themselves nice and in the mix with all the other soft tyres. Ghost built different. Hey, Vardy has beaten him to pole on this particular occasion, though Vardy doesn't have 2 sprint championships. In fact, Vardy doesn't have any sprint championships. He's got the inaugural Season 1 Tier 1 championship. Other than that, hasn't boasted much other success in APPF1, which, well, the stats definitely don't tell the entire story on this one, because we all know how good Vardy is. Him and Ghost, I believe, are the only 2 drivers I put higher than a 9 in terms of the composure rating. I think I put Ghost at a 10 and Vardy at a 9.5, only because of the recent season and his recent struggles, whereas Ghost has just been on it since he's been it, really. "33 laps of the Spanish Grand Prix ahead of us then, ladies and gents. The top 5 all on softs, 6th and 7th on the mediums, 8th and 10th on the softs. Everyone else on those medium compounder tyres. It's going to be a close race. It's going to be a very spicy run towards turn number 1 indeed as well. Ghost leads the championship, and he's got to be careful, though it is too early to tell. Predicted pit stop strategy, soft, medium, medium, or soft, medium, hard. That is predicted. That's not set in stone, and those outside the top 10, those on the medium tyres, are going to be looking to push for that one stop, save themselves that 20 seconds or so. As now, here we go, the adrenaline is going to start to be pumping for these guys as they line themselves on the grid. Vardy takes pole. It's the left hand side. He's going to need to cover Ghost off. If he gets a good launch, we know how good Ghost's launch can be. This is what we've all been waiting for. The best opportunity for these guys to make up a lot of positions. Lap 1 is always crazy, always carnage, and you've got to stay on your toes. If you are new to Formula 1, you're tuning in, do not turn away your eyes at all. We go to 5 red lights for the Spanish Grand Prix. 5 red lights are on, the engines are revving, and we're underway. And it's a great start from second place for Ghost, already pulling alongside Vardy in towards turn 1. MX and getting a relatively good start, relatively poor start. In fact, Sumo making it 3 abreast in towards turn number 1. Ghost leads from Vardy, and Davler up the inside of his teammate as well. They're going to be side by side in towards turn 2, and 2 by 2, Rick and Sumo going side by side in towards turn 3. The 2 Aston Martins still going at it, and Vardy gets driven off the track. He's now side by side with Sumo in towards turn number 3, and his teammate MX as well with a decent start going up the inside of Rick. Vardy though around the outside trying to keep that place. A very poor start from the Englishman, who's already lost 2 places. MX up the inside of the Ferrari of Rick as well. Good start for both Alphas, managing to maintain position. Speed up into 6th and trying to make it 5th as well, and gets himself ahead of the Ferrari. A great start on those medium tyres. Koru too, a bit of a spin further back. That's the Alpine, I believe, of Schwarze, and Bluey's also got caught up in something a little bit further back, but relatively clean from everyone on this first lap. A very chaotic one indeed. Can Koru make up places? He's on the mediums, and Speed flying the flag very, very well indeed. Rick goes a little bit deep, so Koru's going to try and look to the inside. Can't quite convert further back. Tier getting up the inside of Emiliano. They're going to be side by side in towards turn number 11 and into 12. Rick going very wide. He might even lose another place. Indeed he does. Ace is down the inside. Rick really getting swallowed up as we round off lap number 1. Ghost leads the 2 Aston Martins of Davila and Vardy. A very poor start for him. Just got swatted up after a really weird reaction time for him. It was Sumo that got away very well indeed, managing to jump his teammate. Or in fact, he stayed stationed and put pressure on the other 2. MX with a decent start though. Tier going up the inside of Zuber as well before turn 1, ahead before the braking zone. Very nicely done. Goes a little bit deeper in towards turn at number 2. And that's not going to allow the best run through turn 3 though. Looks to be enough to stay stationed. This is Rick coming back at Aces, trying to make up for a very poor start. Up the inside, claims the apex, and Aces gets run deep. Now going to run side by side with Taylor Hammers in towards turn at number 5. Aces sends it back up the inside though. Taylor keeps him honest. Going to be wheel to wheel through turn 5, through 6. Aces should claim the corner here. Should be plain sailing to stay ahead. Indeed he does. Ghost commandingly leads. They were waiting for that crucial DRS, the drag reduction system, to come into effect. That's where we'll really see this lead train tighten up a lot, because the top 6 are all within 1 second of each other. If Speed can stay with MX on these mediums, he's going to be in such a good position for the rest of this race. We know how good Speed is on his tyres. He massages them so well, not literally, but he just takes such good care of them, really does, and can make them go very long. Look back to, I believe it was last season's Brazil or the season before, something along those lines, where he just went so long into this race, or into that race, around Interlagos, and managed to put off a crazy one-stop race. So yeah, Speed definitely has got the tyre capabilities, and he's in that Red Bull, probably in Sergio Perez's seat, I would imagine. DRS has been enabled, that drag reduction system, an extra 20 kph or so down that back straight will not go amiss, as Kiernan gets all sorts of squirrely through turn 2, over that curb, very lethal. That could have been a race-ending incident if he wasn't careful, though he's got the Japanese car, or the Japanese sponsored car, in front of him, of Corey, so he knows what it's like to do in some Tokyo drifts. That's a few yellow flags, as I think Schwarze is just moving out of the way of a couple of people after a not so great start. Moti Perez also into the pit lane, though Davila and Vardy both crucially has stayed within 1 second of the race leader of Ghost. That's going to allow him to close that gap, but just look at how much Ghost has saved, as well as Vardy. Both of these guys, I say it time and time again, they are incredible at saving that energy recovery system. They keep that energy in the battery for whenever they need it. They have such good pace that they don't need to waste it. And Davila as well, he's also doing the same. Sumo, MX though, half his battery gone already. He's pushing it incredibly hard in order to not get swallowed up by the mediums. So I wouldn't be surprised if around about now the mediums do start to come into their own. And well, MX has got Speed and Corey, both the charging balls in his sights. Ghost gets the fastest lap once again, a 25.17, incredibly consistent from the Aston Martin. Speed closed on MX. Is it going to be enough to overtake the reigning champion in towards turn 1? He's not using his battery. He's happy for at the moment to sit behind. He knows MX can be aggressive, and he knows that his tyre wear probably isn't going to be enough for him to sail past and see that MX just concedes the position, because it won't be. So he's going to wait, he's going to bide his time and wait for it to be a very easy move. Rick getting passed once again by Aces. It could be a sign that, in fact, I might be wrong, and those mediums are in fact quicker at this stage in the race. We are certainly close to that 4:33, and we probably are already near our first pit window. And if that is the case, we'll see Speed, Koro and Kiernan, your top 3. If the top 5 all pit. Though back to the front, because it is very close. No one really going for much. Rick already a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings in this race. Not the best start to his campaign for the Spanish Grand Prix. 4-car train though, lining up behind MX. The 2 balls, with Kiernan rounding it off. All of them on the mediums chasing after the softs. Very close between the 2 Astons and of course Ghost. Could we see a move in towards turn 1? That's the AlphaTauri. That's Zuba going off at turn 11. Very easy mistake to do. This is Davila. Open up the DRS and the ERS, using a little bit of overtake, maybe just to halt the attack from his teammate behind a little bit. This is Speed trying to get past MX, blitzing past down this pit straight. Is he going to be ahead before the corner? Are they going to run side by side under brakes? Pretty plain sailor move for the Red Bull. Gets himself into P5, and I think it definitely is now that crossover point between the 2 tyres. The mediums coming into their own, coming a lot. Well, being very quick indeed relative to the softs. MX giving it his all, but those tyres just aren't having it. You can drive as fast as you like, but if you haven't got the tyre grip underneath you, you're going to struggle. As Jack Lacko, I think, is one of the first to come into the pit lane, or is that just a spin or a bit of fighting going on? It's very close. Midfield, you can see a lot of drivers going side by side. Big lockup from the Ferrari, in fact. Though nothing too spicy going on. We cut our attention back to the front because Kinnan's all over his RRL companion of Corey in front. Is he going to go for the move in towards turn number 10? Has a little look, but he's going to work with it. Work with him. There's no point losing time. There's no point battling at the moment. They're on the alternate strategy. They do not want to lose any more time than they need to in this race. As Corey, no, he goes round, he collects Kiernan, bit of a tap to the front wing. He taps him back round, so Corey managing to save it. And Kiernan definitely giving him a bit of a helping hand. Luckily, no damage for either driver. But for Corey, that's a very, I would say, uncharacteristic mistake, but it's not really an uncharacteristic mistake for Koru, as Speed Alcoholic does set the fastest lap of the race in clean error, 24.83. Sumo, the first of the front runners in. He's going for that undercut. Is Davila going to go for the move on Ghost for the race lead? Looks close, but couldn't quite get himself alongside. MX keeping with Speed in the DRS. Kiernan and Koru understandably losing a little bit of time on that lap. The two Williams, Taylor Hammers and Womack fighting over the top 10. Everyone's going to score points provided they finish. That is how APPF1 rolls. That extra point, that extra position will not go amiss in either championship. Tier gets himself past, or Emiliano gets himself past Tier in towards turn number 4. Easy move, bit of contact made maybe, but Rubman is racing, as they say, over the pond. Davila still in the DRS. Are either of these guys going to come into the pit lane? Is anyone inside the top 3 going to come into the pit lane, because they know how lethal that undercut can be? Sumo onto the mediums. He's committing to a 2-stop. He's either going to go soft, medium, soft, or soft, medium, medium. Ace is getting himself past Koru up the inside, overshoots the corner a little bit, could lose the position to Rick as well, but in fact doesn't. All eyes on the top 3 though. Is Ghost going to trigger this round of pit stops? Is he going to come in? No, he stays out. Are either the Aston Martins going to come in? No, they're going to stay out. Are we going to see a change for the race lead towards the start of this pit window? Closing at a rate of knots is Davila. Well, I'd like to think so, but he's not really. Is he going to be enough towards turn number 1? He's got that slingshot. Kiernan sets the fast lap to the right hand side. Not quite close enough for Davila in towards turn number 1. MX also comes in. Corey was into the pit lane. Has he sustained some damage? Indeed he has. That's that alternate strategy ruined then for the Red Bull driver. He's had to come in for a premature stop. Side by side go a couple of drivers. That was Tier laughing his teammate. In fact, as Aces gets passed once again by Rick, but he's going to try and come back at him. The young Dutchman defends to the right hand side. The Mercedes going to go the long way round on those quick and medium tyres, though Rick claims the corner. Is the Mercedes going to be able to fight it? Keeps his nose in. It's the inside for turn 5, though Rick just says, hey, you're not coming through. I'm going to sort of discourage you to that inside line. And Aces says, well, I'm going to stay behind for now. There's a DRS zone coming up. I can get you past then. I can get past you then. Through turn 8, up the hill towards turn number 9. Ghost and Davila still separated by virtually nothing into this final sector. DRS open and DRS using for the Mercedes. Going to look to the inside, has a little look, but quickly tucked back in to the racing line. Let's have a quick look at the top 3. Is Ghost going to come into the pit lane knowing that pretty much everyone else has? He's pulling his way in. Yes, he is. Is Davila following him? No. Is Vardy following him? Yes. Vardy going for the undercut. Davila going for the overcut. Interesting strategy, but he's got to, otherwise the Astons would double stack. Aces on the back of Rick. He pulls himself into the pit lane. This means then the Speed Alcoholic inherits the race lead, or will inherit the race lead when Davila comes into the pit lane. Kiernan, though, not far adrift from the Red Bull. Once again, it's Mercedes versus Red Bull at Spain. Will it be a different outcome this time around? We'll have to wait and see. Emiliano on the back of Tier, the fight for P7 provisionally. All of these guys on the one-stop strategy, hopefully. If your name's Corey, you've got to join those on the softs and go for that 2-stop. No, he's got to commit. Probably he's going to have to go medium soft or medium hard. I think he's going to have to just do his normal strategy, but a couple of laps in advance, because yeah, that wing change, that premature wing change was not what he would have wanted to do at all. Lap 8 of 33 then. We've reached that pit window time. I believe that Schwarze going round. It's not Tier, so it's the other Alpine going round off the exit of turn number 4. Again, an easy mistake to do. We cut back to Tier though. He's all over the back of Speed Alcoholic. Remember, this is the fight for the net race lead. After Davila peers his way into the pit lane. Sumo, where is he in comparison? Schwarze has retired from the session. He's retired on track, which might bring out the full course caution, which would really help Davila out, in fact. But Davila still not coming in. Is he confident for a safety car? Sumo didn't make much of a dent in towards Ghost or Vardy, which is very strange indeed, though. This is Kiernan. Are we going to see a change? Speed Alcoholic goes defensive to the right hand side. The Mercedes pulls to the left. Is he got the slingshot in towards turn 1? The Red Bull tries to defend but can't quite. So Kiernan into the net race lead. Very nicely done from the Mercedes, who's shown pace. He got pole last time out. Can he chase his maiden victory in APPF1? We'll soon find out in around about 24 laps time. Speed Alcoholic though, he's got to keep Kiernan honest until their pit window. Or is he trying to save those tyres? Is he going to try and go long? Maybe. Keep some life in them so he can really push come the pit window time. Go for some hammer time laps in a Red Bull, ironically, and he's fighting a Mercedes, but same principle applies. He's going to try and keep some life in them so that when the pit window does come around, he can really hammer in some good lap times to then come into the pit lane. That could be a strategy. Sit in the DRS for the moment. Save some ERS. Save some fuel, whatever it might be. And then pounce back at the end of this stint. Lap 9 of 33. Laps are ticking on very quickly. And still Davila out on those softs. How they haven't popped yet, I don't know. He's going for another lap. Is he going for a one-stop? Kiernan sets the fastest lap, a 1:19.721. Incredibly quick, already breached the DRS zone. That 1 second range to speed behind. And is quickly closing in on Davila's lead. But is he trying to stretch for a one-stop? Is he going to try and go for hards? Vardy, the quickest lap, in 19.678 on some fresh mediums. That's not a surprise at all. Trying to close down on Ghost. Emiliano still unable to get past Tier or Taylor Hammers. A great drive so far from the Haas, who would like to score some points, get some points on the board, because I'll be completely honest, I can't quite remember the last time Emiliano finished a race. And as we talk about how good he's doing, he picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. So maybe I should shut up. Maybe I should just leave him be. Let him do his thing. Bluey on the back of MX. These two going to be looking to fight, though. Bluey is yet to pit. MX already has. He's going for that 2 stops. 2.7 seconds off his teammate, though. He really got swallowed up by the medium runners in that first stint. And that definitely cost him. Tier under pressure. Or putting the pressure on Taylor. Bit of a poor run through turn number 9. This could allow Emiliano to look to the inside of turn 10. Has a look, but that was never on, and Emiliano wants to try and preserve that P8 as best he can. A little bit deep on the exit using the curb. And at the moment, no gaps. Davila stays out again. How are those tyres still functioning? I do not know. How they haven't punctured is beyond me. He's driving incredibly carefully on those tyres, trying to stretch them out maybe for a one-stop. I think he realises that the one-stop is going to be the better route to go. Taylor Hammers going defensive against the Alpine. The Haas behind, so too is Ghost, turning onto the back of this train. And Tier to the left-hand side, he slingshots himself ahead before the braking zone. Pretty plain sailing move. And up into the top 6 for the Alpine. Ghost joining the back of this train, as I said. He wants to clear this traffic as quickly as possible, because then Vardy might have a little look, might be able to sneak into the back. And while Ghost is getting held up in traffic, Vardy can then swoosh through and see an opportunity, seize that opportunity, and see himself back ahead of the AlphaTauri as he'll find their way through turn number 5. Ghost trying to find a way through, all while this is allowing Vardy to close. It already gained a good 5/10. Ghost just needs to try and pick his way through as effectively as possible, both very high in the ERS front. But the tricky thing is the fact that Emiliano has DRS, Taylor has DRS. It's going to be hard for Ghost to find a way through using that energy recovery system. Is it enough to the inside of turn 10? Has a very good look, but not quite enough. Lap 11 of 33, a third of the way through this Grand Prix. Davila yet to pit. Kiernan, Speed, Aces and Womack your top 5, and this is on board the fight for P6. Ghost looking to the inside of turn 13, sends Emiliano in deep, bit of a lock-up, that's going to invite Ghost through, playing the mind games around the outside of turn 14 through 15, and Vardy says thank you very much, I'm coming through as well, sends it up the inside, uses the gap that Ghost made as Davila finally comes into the pit lane. He's still got 2 more cars to find and get his way through before they pit. Davila in, he's tumbling down the order. Emiliano might come back at Vardy in towards turn number 1. The Haas pulls to the right hand side. That's going to be a very, very worst case scenario for Vardy if he gets caught up. And Tier's gone round through turn number 2. No, what a shame for the Alpine. He's tumbling down the order. And after such a good drive so far for the Alpine, that is such a shame. Such a catastrophe as well. No, Davila, he's on the mediums. He's going for a 2-stop, but he's lost 4 seconds, 5 seconds to his teammate in front. That's so strange to me. Why he's gone that long and not committed to a 1-stop. Hey ho, each to their own, I suppose. This is Ghost on the back of Taylor Hammers, looking to carve his way through the traffic. Taylor Hammers not going to put up much of a fight. Goes semi-defensive though. The AlphaTauri finds the gap on the inside, late braking. The Williams going to try it around the outside. Remember, this is still 4th position despite Taylor not pitting. Trying it around the outside of 11. Never ever going to work. And now Ghost has got a car crucially between himself and Vardy. Kiernan sets the fastest lap at 19.630 in that Mercedes. The Aston Martin needs a good launch off this corner in order to slingshot past Taylor and stay inside the DRS range of Ghost, who doesn't have the benefit of the drag reduction system himself. Emiliano comes in. He's the first of the starting medium runners to come in. Vardy needs to get through very quickly. Can't find a way through on this particular occasion. Kiernan leads. Womack is the next target for Ghost. He's 4.5 seconds in front. Will he catch before their pit window? That is going to be the question to be answered. I would say if Ghost can catch Kiernan before his pit window, then he might be... It will be very close. I mean, if Ghost can catch Kiernan before their pit window, I think it's Ghost's race to win. As Vardy tries to find a way through on Taylor. But if he's got to be very close. There's going to be a very tough final stint for Ghost and Vardy if they want to still have a shot at winning this race. And of course they have to keep it clean, no mistakes, no penalties or anything of the sort. And while a safety car right now would not go amiss for Kiernan, I think everyone would probably switch to a one stop, or well, they'd go for hards to the end. Those that have already pitted would have to do a two stop. Kiernan is into the pit lane though. He's going for 21 laps on those hards. That's going to be a tough call. So to a speed, he comes in under brakes, gets a stop very nicely. His Ace is in too. Zuba certainly is. Ace stays out another lap to take the lead. Sumo, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. A shame for the Alfa Romeo, who's been driving very well. Moti Peretz has left the session, unfortunately. Davila sets the fastest lap on 19.442. Those fresh mediums really coming into their own. He's got to race Kiernan though. That could be side by side in towards turn 1. Kiernan though, on a one-stop strategy, is ahead of Davila. That is important, I think, for the rest of this race, because Davila still has another pit stop yet to make to the right hand side. Not quite going to be close enough on this particular occasion. Vardy managed to get through on Taylor Hammers, though he's lost a good 1.5 seconds to Ghost. And it's back to square one for Vardy, despite the traffic allowing him to catch up. Couldn't get through as quickly as he'd like. This is Bluey on the inside of Speed Alcoholic. Those cold tyres are going to take a while to warm up for the Red Bull. Rick on some 5-lap old hard medium tyres, going to try and get past Speed, who's going really slowly, lagging. That's something that Speed does do, but he's got that red X. Has he disconnected from this lobby? He might have, and that would be a big shame if he has. Jack Tridden in the stream 13 minutes ago, didn't quite see it, but yeah, pleasure to have you in. Womack closing on Aces. Good effort from the Williams. As Aces pulls his way into the pit lane, Womack stays out once more. Another race leader in this Grand Prix. Spain always a different one in terms of strategy. Vardy, another fastest lap for him. It's that fastest lap point really changing who it wants to be with. Vardy putting in some good laps, trying to close that gap to Ghost in front. Oh no, Ghost has gone round. That's another very uncharacteristic mistake for Ghost. He made one in Austria in the Sprint Championship. He's made another one today in Spain. Has he managed to get it out of the wall? Yes, he has, just about. But a big mistake for him. Very uncharacteristic. Not like Ghost at all. And another huge mistake. Whilst an easy one to make, not one you'd expect a two-time sprint champion to make. Is this the season where Ghost goes on a bit of a downfall? It could well be. It's not often we see him make mistakes. He had the buffer behind that. Another spin, is that Tier, or is it maybe it is Tier going around at turn number 2. A shame for him, because again he was driving a great race. Davila trying to close the gap to Kiernan. He's very quick on these medium tyres, though Vardy, I would say, probably up there with Kiernan now in terms of favourites to win. Ghost needs to get on an absolute charge back to the front. If anyone can do it, he can. But he needs to make no mistakes from here on in. Close after Koru, then after Rick, then after Bluey, then after MX, and just pick them off bit by bit. Use the pace we all know he's got, and retain the consistency we all know he's got. Taylor Hammers has gone for a spin through turn 11 as well. This second stint proving to be lethal then for a few drivers. Ghost is into the pit lane. Has he sustained damage? Did the tap to the barrier cost him too much? Koru coming in for hards. Jackalacco goes into P10. Koru comes out on the hards. Is Ghost coming in on the hard compound tyres? I believe so. And a wing change as well. That spin has cost him dearly. He's going to the end though, crucially. Could be his saving grace. A safety car as well would not go amiss. Speed finally back into the session. But has it been is it too late? Has he lost too much time? That could be a case. Round about halfway through this Grand Prix now, lap 16 of 33. Womack leads from Vardy, Kiernan, Davila, Sumo, your top 5 with MX P6, Bluey P7 on board with Rick for P8, Aces and Jackalacco 9th and 10th. Through turn 9 for Rick. In the DRS of Bluey in front, the McLaren driving an incredible race in P7 for his standards. And he's definitely made some strides towards the front of the grid, despite him starting quite towards the back actually, P16. And he's managed to make his way up to P7. Taylor Hammers, a 3-second time penalty for him, unfortunately. Through turn 14 Flick it right for 15. A good run for Rick. Could see him overtake the McLaren perhaps, who's yet to stop in this Grand Prix. DRS open for the Ferrari, who's now blitzing down this pit straight. Will he find himself having a very hard-fought battle from Louis? No. Goes through, waves them through. And despite McLaren and Ferrari being very hard-fought in real life, in the sim world, in APPF1, not the case. Rick finds a way through pretty easily. Can Ghost claw the gap to Corey? He's got around about 5 or 6 seconds, I'd say, to the Red Bull. And other than that, no close battles. Vardy closing on to Womax, who's still yet to pit in this Grand Prix as well. It's going to be very, very close between these guys. Vardy needs to get past Womax before Womax stops. Though I would say, I mean, Kiernan is not far off Vardy at all when Kiernan is going to the end. Kiernan is still very quick despite being on those hard tyres. Of course, they are fresh compared to Vardy's mediums, which are going to be slightly more worn, but still, Kiernan, I would say, one of the favourites to win this race. As I said last week, his maiden pole at Imola couldn't quite convert to the race win. Can he do so today on the alternate strategy, which seems to be very powerful? Koru was going to try it, but couldn't, made a bit of a mistake, or got caught up in a skirmish a little bit earlier on in the race, and that cost him his front wing and saw him out of contention, now down in P14, and trying to carve his way back through. His teammate 3.2 seconds in front. Zuber getting through on Moti Perez, who has disconnected from the session. Ugh. Through turn 5 for the Williams, probably not going to put up much of a fight from the Aston Martin behind. In towards turn 7 and 8. Hit that curb on the inside, just trying to straight line the exit as best as possible. Rick closing at a rate of knots on MX, who seems to really be struggling. He's low on ERS as well. This is Speed getting past Emiliano, who's unfortunately gone round at turn 2. It claims another victim in this Grand Prix. And Emiliano going round once more. This is Vardy on the back of Womax, trying to find a way through. Rick as well trying to find a way through on MX. That's probably going to be a bit more of a hard-fought battle. We'll have to cut to it in just a moment's time when we know that Vardy's gotten through on Womax. Has he gotten through on Womax? That is the question. He stays out another lap. Womax going very long. Is he hoping for a safety car? Is he trying to stretch for softs? Maybe. But all I know is that Vardy's closing at a rate of knots to the right-hand side. Peels his way past. Very nicely done. Kiernan closing too. This is Rick on the back of MX. The Dutchman versus the reigning champion. Down this pit straight in towards turn 1, closing in excess of 200 miles an hour with DRS, with the ERS to the right hand side. Has the Ferrari got the bravery under brakes? He brakes later, gets it stopped. Brilliant move from the Ferrari. Rick gets himself up inside the top 6, so that 3-second penalty going to drag him back a couple of places at the very least as it stands. Though he's got 1.3 to the next car in front. Rick on an absolute charge towards the front. Another pit stop in the making for the Ferrari. They are going for a 2-stop, as is pretty much everyone on the grid though. So, still all to play for. That second and final stint, or the third and final stint for a lot of the 2-stop is going to be very crucial. A spinner of an AlphaTauri, surely that's not Ghost again. I think it is Zuber. Indeed it is, as Kiernan finds his way through on Womax. Pretty plain sailing under brakes in towards turn 10 as well. Good stuff as he bids to chase after Vardy and the Aston Martin before his second pit stop. Pleasure to have everyone who is staying and tuning into the stream so far. Hope you are all enjoying. MX still in DRS range of Rick, though is it going to be enough? Come the detection point. Vardy quickest lap so far, a 1:19.355. Really flying on those mediums. MX pulls his way into the pit lane though. For his second and final stop of this race. This is Ghost, 2-time sprint champion and last season's tier 1 runner-up. Gets a bit squirrely and once again going for a bit of a spin, but manages to hold it in the AlphaTauri Honda. That's going to cost him a good chunk of time. He's lucky to have not gone round there. Fair play that he managed to keep that, but another spin would have been an absolute worst case scenario. Still going sideways, getting caught up on that sausage curb. Here's Ghost finally starting to feel the effects of pressure maybe in this championship. Is he maybe starting to just not be with it? Is the mentality losing for him? Bit of contact between MX and Speed as he exits the pits. Not quite sure what happened there, but I saw some carbon fibre flying out. And for MX, yeah, not quite sure. Maybe exiting the pit lane, caught speed out a little bit under brakes. Not quite sure, but yeah, he's lost a bit of time. Maybe a bit of front wing as well. Is he going to be struggling with some front end grip? But he goes straight into the rear end of MX. MX is off. He's into the gravel trap. Was that intentional from the Red Bull? Was that intentional from the Red Bull? He's lagging. That could be his saving grace in terms of the stewards. But still, you've got to be responsible for your car. MX then sent off. A big crash between himself and Speed. And luckily, I think we're still without a DNF from either of them too. Rick up into P5 because Sumo and Bluey come in. This is Ghost, so they're outside of the Haas. It's going to be late braking. The Haas brakes even later. The champion going to try and go underneath them. Does so. Gets the drive off the corner in towards turn 11. Is ahead. And a very nice move indeed. Sells in the dummy. Says, well, you can go in deep. You can brake late. Think you're going to defend that position. But in fact, you're not. I'm going to go underneath you. Sends him. Bait him into that false sense of security that he's going to keep in that position. Then you go straight underneath him. Get the drive off the corner. Jobs are good. And off you go. Taylor Hammers into P8. Bluey on the softs to the end of this race in P10. MX in P12, of course, he's just come out of the pit lane. Jackalacco as well, P13. Rumax, the only driver left on the track, yet to pit. And he's just going to say to Davila, you can go through. I don't want to lose any time battling with you. I'm coming into the pit lane soon anyway. And Davila probably just put a little hand up to say thank you. If that was real life, though, Rumax, a 3-second penalty, ironically, going slower into turn 10. Shorty's got to come in soon, though. He's going to lose a good... Actually, to be fair, he might still come out around about P8, P9 region if he comes in now, and he's going to be on the softs to the end of this race. Is he finally in? No. Oh, yes, he is. Just cuts over the bollard as if it's nothing. That would be a 5-second time penalty in real life, though. Not too big of a deal. Rick peeling in for his second and final stop in this race. Softs to the end, I would imagine, for the Ferrari. Nothing much happening on track. We've got Bluey trying to chase down Speed on those fresh softs. Shouldn't be too hard of an affair for the McLaren. The Brit trying to chase down the Red Bull. Wumax coming out. Where is he going to come out? Well, in fact, actually, Wumax has come out P5. Good effort, I would say. Incredible stuff from Wumax. Could we see him on course perhaps for a podium? Maybe not. He's lost, well, he's, what is that, around about 20 odd seconds. I mean, if he can close the gap to aces, 5.6 seconds, softs versus hard shouldn't be too difficult. Davila's still got to pit, so as long as he can retain outside of 3 seconds of Davila, he could be on for a podium. And what would we love to do? Well, we would all love to see a Wumax podium in the second round of this championship, because it's been, well, yeah, it's been a really spiced up order. Not necessarily the biggest in terms of on-track action that is to be expected around Catalunya. But still a good race nonetheless because of the drama it's had. Ghost being spun round, Corey bottling yet another win, or yet another chance at a win. Vardy and Kiernan both seem to be the top dogs in terms of the favourites to win, though Vardy still with an extra stop to make. Might try and stretch those mediums to the end, though that's going to be a tough ask. And with the 1 second gap back to Kiernan, not going to be very long lived if he does try to do it either. Bluey on the back of Speed, softs versus hards. And Wumax very much digging out that gap. 2 aces closed in 1 second already on this first lap alone. Bluey on the back of Speed, on the back of Taylor. This 3-car train for P8, 9 and 10. Speed Alcoholic going to the right hand side. He's going to try and get past Taylor. Swoops through with that momentum. The overspeed has allowed the Red Bull to get his way through. Bluey on the softs just has to bide his time and wait a little bit. Kiernan inside the DRS range. Taylor Hammer's going to send it to the inside of turn 3. Try and keep the foot in. But unfortunately, to no avail for the Williams driver. He's going to try and make up for lost time. Sends it to the inside of turn 4. Speed gives him the space. That was a very, very close call indeed between himself and the Red Bull. Bluey on the back, just trying to find a way through. A big lock-up from Taylor Hammers through turn 5. And Jackalacco on the back of MX, the reigning champion. Yet another, well, poor showing. I say poor showing. He managed to get third last time out. But unfortunately for him, it could be a big, big dent in terms of the championship battle. For him at the moment, only scoring 8 points. Bluey trying to find a way through. Kiernan on the back of Vardy, yet to make his second stop. Perhaps Bluey getting past Taylor Hammers, who's gone for a spin through turn 12, putting himself back onto the track. MX and Jackalacco both go through, and he's rejoined right in the midst of this fight. He's going to be right on the back of Jackalacco, who himself goes a little bit wide. Bit of a lock up to the penultimate corner for him as well. Oh, and he's going for a spin. He's accelerated into the wall, hit the barrier, big spin and a big crash. Luckily managing to keep going in this race. Ghost manages to get through. This is Jackalacco to the left-hand side of MX. Gets himself through and up into P11. Good stuff from the Ferrari. Both of them are making gains. Both of them are the top dogs in terms of overtaking today. Rick on the back of Sumo. Both drivers trying their hand in getting themselves up the order. Both of them no pit stops left to make. Both of them with a penalty, pretty even pegging. It is Rick, the quicker of the two drivers. We saw him make massive gains towards the tail end of the final of the previous stint. And now with only a few laps to go, only a handful of laps to go, Vardy concedes the position to Kiernan. Change the race lead, nothing too exciting because Vardy, we all know, is yet to pit. And Kiernan secures that top step for the moment. Great move, I'm sure it was, up the inside. Taylor Hammers has retired from this Grand Prix. Are we going to see a full course yellow? That could be a huge game changer if we did have one. I think we should be okay in terms of not getting one, though. I would probably, in fact, I'd like to see a safety car right now. I think it would really spice things up in terms of the action, because Vardy would come in for softs, so too probably would Kiernan. I think anyone would. Rick getting up the inside of Sumo. Are they going to run side by side? Sumo's going to come back at him. Contact between the two. Rick back up the inside through turn 3. Sumo gives him the space, though he's going to run himself off the track. Try and use that outside momentum. It's very bumpy out there. And Rick into P6. Very nicely done from the Ferrari, who now sets his sights towards Rumax, who's trying to set his sights towards Aces. Davila and Vardy, two Aston Martins yet to pit, or yet to make their second stop in this race. Are they going to try and stretch it? I mean, Davila probably realistically could. I would say so. I mean, he's not really got much threat from behind. He doesn't necessarily need to pit in this race. Kinnan sets the fastest lap at 19.0. Vardy comes in. Davila stays out. So yeah, Vardy in for softs. Where's he going to come out in relation to everyone else? Is he going to lose the place to Wumax perhaps? Don't think so. I think that's a little bit far-fetched. Though we've seen stranger things happen. Onto the softs. Now coming out of the pit lane. Yeah, he's going to come out P3. Pretty comfortable P3 in fact. For the Aston Martin as well. No contention really. From behind. Comeback story is Wumax. 1.8. He's got to chase down on Aces to get himself inside the top 4. And all it takes is one mistake from the top 3 to see him up there as well. Inside the podium places would be something we would all like to see. 2 seconds between himself and Aces. Ghost on the back of MX. Would not be the first time these two come to blows. To the right hand side in towards turn 1, the AlphaTauri. Who's going to be braver on the brakes? It's going to be MX, who swoops all the way around the outside. Very nicely done. Ghost going to try and go underneath him, not once but twice, and set up the move in towards turn 4. That dirty air really playing a factor. MX defensive into turn 4, brings it back to the left. Ghost with that outside momentum, going to swoosh, try and get the move underneath him in towards turn 5. MX struggling in terms of ERS. Ghost is going to be looking at that red light like a bull charging red. Gets a bit of a squirmy exit, does MX. Is he going to let Ghost through to get the DRS? Bit of a cheeky move we see MX do quite often. And meanwhile, I think Vardy managed to pick himself up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Just sort of under his nose, or under our noses. And Ghost to the left hand side, sends up the brakes, with a lock up on both fronts. And trying it around the outside though. Ghost says, no, you don't. I'm the Apex, I was there. Bobsy Gooden up into the top 12. A good comeback for Ghost to have spun, hit the barrier, had to change his wing and still be ahead of MX, who seems to really be struggling, not being able to get the ball rolling so far in this race. And it's probably too little too late, even if he does get it rolling now. Speed versus Sumo, the fight for P7. Speed without a penalty. One of only 5 drivers, or well, 6 drivers to do so, to keep it clean this entire race. MX still on the back of Ghost. Are we going to see a challenge in towards turn 1? No, we're not. Speed on the back of Sumo. This is probably the next talking point of this race. The fight for P7. Though, as I said, Speed keeping it clean. If it does finish like it is, Speed's going to get ahead of Sumo regardless of what happens, because of the time penalty situation. He's going to want to do it on track because he has got Bluey right behind him for good measure. Flick to the right for Speed Alcoholic. DRS open as he goes down this back straight in towards turn number 10. Not quite enough in the Red Bull in order to seal that move. He's going to try and go for it down the pit straight. That's probably going to be his easiest bet. That's where we've seen most overtakes done today. And pretty plain sailing moves indeed. 1:18.614 for Vardy. He's putting in some very quick times now on those softs. Low fuel and fresh softs. Perfect combination for Vardy. He's pretty much in qualifying mode. Just setting hot laps, lap after lap after lap after lap. Trying to close the gap to Davila, who's probably going to stretch it out and not pit. Meanwhile, the fight for P7. Here comes Speed to the left-hand side. Pretty easy move. And not hard fought from Sumo whatsoever. Probably couldn't fight that even if he tried, because that Red Bull with the Honda power unit blitz past. And now it's Bluey's turn. He's queued up behind the Alfa Romeo to try and find a way through. Vardy really making huge dents in his teammates' lead. 11.4 seconds. He's going to need to close that gap and then get a further 3 seconds, all within 5.5 laps. It's going to be difficult, but Vardy can do it, especially if Davila's tyres hit a cliff. What would help him even more so is if Davila gets a penalty himself. I think Kiernan, provided there's no mistakes happen, is going to win this race and take his maiden APPF1 Tier 1 victory after only 2 races in the championship. Probably one of the biggest success stories. Bluey very close to comfort, very close for comfort to the back of Sumo's diffuser there. Had to lock up both fronts in order to not hit the back, and that's probably going to cause him a bit of leg pain. How hard he had to push that brake pedal, it's probably gone through the floor, I would imagine so. Tier 3 seconds after a great start to the race. Had to fall back a little bit and couldn't really get it going after that, unfortunately for him. Ghost and MX still keeping each other honest, though Ghost making a little bit of a dent in towards Koru's P11 lead, I suppose you could say. And even then to Jackalacco. So a top 10 still on for Ghost despite his spins, as long as he can keep it clean. Koru will fall behind him as well, so Ghost just damage limitation for him. We've seen him come back from worse. Look back to Tier 1 last season, he disconnected from Austria, his wheel disconnected, he had to retire from the lead of the race in Austria. He come back to finish only a few points off the championship, so at least now he's scoring some points. But the competitiveness of this season means you really cannot afford to lose any points at all. And the fact he was in podium contention, at least top 5, and maybe even a win for Ghost, is a shame that he spun such as like he did. Vardy 9 seconds now to Davila, taking out another couple of seconds. As Davila's tyres get ever older, he's really trying to stretch them as best he can now, but Vardy is closing another fastest lap, and 18.579 really is quali mode. He's just setting hot lap after hot lap after hot lap for the final 4 laps of this race. He's going to need around about 2.5 seconds a lap in order to get this move done. Can he do it? If anyone can, Vardy can. Bluey on the back of Sumo, he's going to try and get it done. He's been waiting a couple of laps in order to do this move. 70% in the battery, DRS as well, the extra 20 kph. Now climbing towards 200 miles an hour, down the pit straight, in towards turn 1. The Alfa Romeo goes defensive, the McLaren to the left hand side. It's a long way round, he's got the soft tyres, gets it done. Beautiful move from Bluey to go around the outside of the Alfa Romeo, who might come back at him through turn 3. Bit of an awkward look. And still the move there for the McLaren, who's now going to be feeling aware of those soft tyres a little bit, I'm sure. And Sumo, in a couple of laps' time, might be able to launch the counter-attack. Kiernan leads then from Davila. Vardy making it a 2-3 for Aston Martin, looking to extend their championship lead in the Constructors. Ace is 4th with Womack's 5th. A strong drive for him so far. An all race, in fact, and only a little while off the top 4. Rick, though, closing him down at a rate of knots. Emiliano going for a spin, another spin through turn 2. What looked to be a great race for him has turned very sour very quickly. And that's how racing goes. Sometimes it can be very, very harsh, even at the best of times. Lap 31 or 33 then. Only 3 laps left to go, or more so, 2.5 I would say, around about. Rick closing on Womack's. Pretty even dents. I mean, Womack's is closing on Aces about the same amount that Rick is closing on Womack. So, yeah, he's going very quickly. Crucially, though, Womack's doesn't have much in the battery, only 8% compared to Rick and Aces, both over 50. So they've got over 50% battery in their reserve, ready to use at a moment's notice. That extra 160 brake horsepower, not going to go amiss. Emiliano, unfortunately, having a retirement from this session. Could that be a full course yellow? I wouldn't say so. I think it'd be in and out for the safety car if it was to come out now. So very unlikely we are going to see one. Unfortunately, well, I'd say unfortunately, I think it would be a very spicy end to this race. And I think if that was the case, if a safety car was to come out now, no one would probably pit. It'd be not worth the risk, I would say. So Vardy would probably win the race, I would say. If I would say. Yeah, Vardy would definitely win the race if the safety car come in. Rick now within DRS range of Womack, and getting himself inside that top 5 would definitely be good. Onto the penultimate lap, lap 32 of 33. Kinnan leads us round. And Vardy now only 7 seconds separate him and Dabler. 3.5 seconds a lap he's going to need, plus the 3 seconds with that penalty. It's going to take an absolute miracle. This is the Ferrari, tucked up in the slipstream of the Williams, using his ERS battery, stored to the right hand side in towards turn number 1. Who's going to be bravest under brakes? It's going to be Rick. Into the top 5, nicely done. And now he can set his sights forward and try and get after aces. He's got 2 laps left to go in this Grand Prix. 1.6 seconds separate them, 8 tenths a lap, and once he's in DRS, it's going to make it ever easier for him to get through. Can he do it? Sure he can. It's Rick. The very young, very short Dutchman. Through turn 6, 1.2, already making a big indent on aces is P4. Oh, the penalty stacking up though. 3 seconds, no one really more than that other than Bluey, who's got a speeding, I'm going to guess. And then 11 seconds for Tyrion Zuber, who can't seem to keep it on the track for the most part. Corey on the back of Jack Alacco. In fact, Corey's out of this race. He's crashed at the turn 7-8 chicane, a very easy mistake to do. And as he was closing on Jack Alacco, a big mistake. Now Jack Alacco trying to put the pressure on Sumo. Corey once again, an opportunity to win this race in the bin. And that is such a shame. Kiernan, lap 33 of 33. He's really gunning for his maiden win, and he's very much the favourite to do so. He's only got around about 12 more corners of this race to go. Rick giving it his absolute everything to try and close onto Aces, who's got a lot of ERS in the battery in order to defend. It's going to be a straight fight. Mercedes versus Ferrari for the top 4 position. Jack Alacco getting his way through on the Alfa Romeo of Sumo, who drops back to P10. Ghost P11. All eyes though between Rick and Aces. Aces goes for a bit of a lock-up. That's going to allow Rick to have a little look, take that tighter line, get the drive off the corner. Not quite going to be enough in towards turn 7 and 8. Third gear, get that good exit, prioritise the good launch. It all matters now. This is probably his final opportunity in towards turn 10. Needs as good a run as he can get. Uses ERS, use that DRS. He's not closing enough. Kiernan already wins the Spanish Grand Prix, his maiden victory in APPF1, and he's done it in style. Davila will come across the line in P2 with a spinner of Zuba for good measure, and he makes it an AlphaTauri 2-3. And Rick tried his hardest in order to get aces. Across the line comes Vardy, a valiant effort, but only P3 at the death of it. The pole man, not the best of starts, and that did set the tone for the rest of the race. Aces and Rick, a drag race to the line. It's going to be Aces P4 with Rick P5. 4 tenths between the two. Womack's a very strong drive for the Williams in P6. Speed Alcoholic P7. Bluey across the line, a good drive for the McLaren once again in P8. Will we see a Bluey podium at some point in this season? We might do, and I would not be too surprised. Jack Alacco P8, followed by Ghost because of penalties, managing to keep it clean. Bluey P10, Sumo P11. We'll go through the full finishing order in just a second, guys, but what a race it was. Very chaotic, very dramatic, and Scott cheering him on in the live chat. Mercedes, very deserved victory, his first in APPF1 and only his second entry. Got his first pole last time out, converted the alternate strategy to a victory today. Very strong drive from Kiernan, and probably the first of many this season. Pretty poor drive for Ghost back down in P9, though a good recovery. But it was Kiernan that took the victory ahead of Davila and Vardy, completing the podium for Aston Martin with aces in P4. Rick finishes P5 for Ferrari. Womack, an incredible drive from P11 to P6. Just overall a great day, great evening for the Hungarian. Well, not Hungarian, wherever that is. Speed Alcoholic in P7, Jack Alacco P8, Ghost and Bluey round off the top 10 with Sumo in P11. MX, the reigning champion, down in P12. Not the strongest day for him at all. with tier P13. Koru, unfortunately, still classified, though did DNF from this race. Zuber, P15. Monty Perez in P16. Emiliano, Telehammers, and Schwarzy all unable to finish this race and unclassified. Yeah, Ghost, a valiant recovery drive though. You drove your absolute best in order to limit the damage. Could have been a podium, could have been a very strong top 4 at the best, I would have said. But unfortunately these things happen. You can bounce back from Bedarovic. Kinnan very happy with how his drive went, and so he should be. A 19.0, and the fact he didn't touch the softs all race. Incredible lap. There was Vardy that got the fastest lap of 1:18.579. I will have to round off the stream right now, ladies and gentlemen. It was an incredible Spanish Grand Prix, keeping that incredible race momentum from Imola, and I hope to carry it forward in towards Silverstone next week, next Friday. Do make sure to tune in to this stream as always, and I will see you on Sunday for the Sprint Championship at 5:30 GMT. I've been Zach Sweeney. This has been APPF1 Tier 1 Season 3, round number 2, sponsored and brought to you by High Dive Apparel. And I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.